What's going on? Alex here, and today I'm answering questions from an email received from a YouTube viewer just like you. This email pertains to the ups and downs of being a CPA and is it worth it and should you go through with it, and a lot of other great questions. So if you have questions, feel free to send them over to info@efrosfinancial.com and I may answer them in a video just like this. So for this question, let's go ahead and take a look. I received permission from the person who sent this email to share it with you guys under the condition that I change their identity, which I did. So in this case, we're going to refer to this person as Beth, and Beth sent us this email, and we're going to go ahead and take a look. Hey, Alexander. Caught this video of yours as I was poking around the web, and this link goes to a video I did called Why I Became a CPA, and it kind of describes my journey and why I took the plunge into adding these 3 marvelous letters after my name, which, to be quite honest with you, have changed my life. It's how I eat. It's my bread and butter. It's a lot of my personality right now, too, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but either way, it is what it is. Firstly, thanks for putting this together. You're welcome. I've been reading a lot of forums with accountants talking about their career choice and path, and it's nice to find something with a more human feel to it. I try to be human every now and then, but I don't want to take it too far, okay? I want to maintain my mean, lean CPA machine facade, okay? So let's not get too mushy here. I'm looking at going for my MSA, which is a Master's in Accounting, with the goal of transitioning to an accountancy career and to become CPA licensed, and currently weighing some options. Here's my situation. Currently earning about $40,000 per year, which is above average in the journalism field. This field is also constricting, projected to trim by 10% over the next decade. Undergraduate degrees in communication studies / political science. I want to earn more to help fund some of my life goals and aspirations. Having a family, investing in real estate, other business opportunities, etc. Recently accepted into DePaul's MSA program, congratulations, and currently enrolled in a financial accounting course to test the waters on the field. Really enjoying it. It's all clicking quite well, and I'm getting great grades. Good stuff. Here's the thing. I'm 23 years old and feel like I've launched up too quickly in the journalism field. I have no further earning potential nor opportunity to really sharpen my skill set or learn more. It's too early for me to hit the ceiling and get complacent. I feel like the accounting field is something interesting and something that will allow me to be a lifelong career learner. I would at least have the goal in the CPA to chip away at for the next several years, if nothing else. I have some questions that I think you might be able to answer. Do you enjoy your work? What a loaded question. This is deep. This is deep, guys. I browse accounting forums and I see a fair amount of people trying to do the opposite of me, transition out of the accounting field. I'm not apprehensive to hard, long hours, but I do want to feel like my work has meaning and value. All right, so I think a lot of the experience you have as an accountant and as a CPA depends on the situation that you're in. And if you're working for a Big Four accounting firm, like I started my career at PricewaterhouseCoopers, they are going to work you to the bone by definition, right? Because that's the big leagues in the accounting field, and you have to understand that there's going to be weeks where you're working 100+ hours, that appointment that you had, that date that you had, that movie night that you had, you're going to cancel a whole lot of them because they want your blood, sweat, and tears and your soul at the Big Four. And there is the situation where that people get burned out. They don't feel like they're able to contribute, and they feel like they're a cog in a machine. That's how I felt. When I was at Pricewaterhouse, I would do work that I was positive nobody would ever read. And after a certain number of years, they shred everything. So here I am typing at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, documentation that not one human set of eyes is ever going to take a look at. And at some point, they're going to throw it in a shredder, and there's that. Hard for me to feel useful in that sort of scenario. And overall, at the Big Four, I really didn't enjoy the work all that much. I didn't feel like I was contributing. And it didn't feel like I was making a difference in whatever I was doing. We were checking off some boxes somewhere, and a partner was able to collect big fees on what we were doing. But aside from that, it really didn't feel like I was contributing all that much. I will say that in all of that arduous, stressful work, you will hone your skills, no doubt about it. It's like boot camp for accountants. They will teach you fast, and you will maintain some of that discipline throughout your career. And I consider those dues well paid and well spent, because while it may shave a few years off my life, it's going to be a more fulfilling life, being that I had that experience and I'm able to apply those skills to what I do to this day. They have extremely high standards at the Big Four, and that's going to carry over to whatever work you do later on. You're going to be at a whole different level as compared to someone who has not gone through it. But did I enjoy my time there? Did I enjoy the work being a Big Four? No. But do I enjoy the fruits of the sleepless nights, the 3 a.m. work days, and the 100-plus hour work weeks? Absolutely. And as I progressed as a CPA and as an accountant, I started working for smaller and smaller firms when I got out of the Big Four. And the smaller the firm, the bigger contribution you're able to make. And I started to enjoy the work more when I was able to talk directly with clients, interface with them for financial planning, investment management, tax preparation, things like that. And once we were able to get that communication going and actually make a difference for people and do work that somebody would actually see and it would affect somebody's life in a positive way, that's when I started to enjoy it a lot more. Personally, I'm a musician at heart, right? If money was not a factor, I would be recording music day in, day out. I would probably not be doing accounting, not be doing taxes. But with that said, when you're able to work directly with people and affect them in a positive way, it makes the work worthwhile. And the hours go by. I don't mind what I'm doing. I actually rather enjoy it when I'm able to facilitate it under my own rules, being that I'm self-employed. That's a whole different experience as compared to working in that big firm. So as I worked for smaller and smaller firms, I started to enjoy it a lot more. But when I really started to enjoy it is when I went out on my own, and now I'm able to do it my way. And if I decide that I'm going to work 16 hours a day the entire week, that's what's going to happen. If I want to take a day off, I can. If I want to choose certain clients and not work with other clients, I have that flexibility. And at that point, that's when I really started to enjoy it, because now I'm building a business. I'm expanding something that is going to have long-term value, and I get to reap the rewards of that. I enjoy this a lot more than anything else I've ever done in terms of working for somebody else. So a lot of these accountants that you're seeing complaining about their job and about their experience and about being a CPA and all of that, I've read those forums too, but I also see that a lot of them are working for other people under somebody else's rules, somebody else's timeline, somebody else's schedule, and not having that control is a huge factor in enjoying or not enjoying the work. So in terms of where I am right now, I'm getting a kick out of it. I don't mind waking up in the morning. I look forward to getting the work started. I look forward to making YouTube videos. This is above and beyond. I mean, this is 9 p.m. I could be at home relaxing, but I'm here making a YouTube video. I'm having a great time. This office, I'm here because I want to be here. And when you have that control over your life, that translates to a much better experience and much more enjoyment. So in terms of enjoying the work, I think it has to do a lot with the experience that you create for yourself and the circumstances that you're working under. But just keep in mind that if you go out on your own, there's a whole another set of considerations and risks and difficulties that you're going to encounter, but you're always in a problem-solving mode that you miss out on when you're somebody else's employee, because they're dealing with the issues, they're solving a lot of the problems, and you're just doing the work that's put in front of you. On the other hand, when you're self-employed, you're behind the wheel, and you get the benefits, but you also have to deal with the downsides. For me, I love that. So it fits my personality. And I got to tell you, adding numbers together and subtracting numbers doesn't excite me. I don't go, yes, I love the fact that there's this much in assets and this much in liabilities. Not really. But I can tell you that I get through my day, and before I know it, it's 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., 9 p.m., what have you. And I don't feel like I'm hating what I'm doing. I actually rather enjoy it. I like the fact that I get to interface with my clients. They look forward to calls from me. I look forward to calls from them. Good vibes overall. So right now, yes, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I can't wait to grow it, can't wait to expand it, and that's the process that I'm in right now. Hopefully, I've addressed that question. I know I got kind of long-winded here, but this goes deep. I mean, you find that when you get the CPA credential, it becomes a big part of your personality for one reason or another. And you start to see things a little bit differently once you've gone through the knowledge base that it takes to become a CPA and achieve that credential. It gives you a little bit of a different perspective that has stuck with me ever since. All right, so let's move on to the second question. Do you think for a career switcher like me, getting an MSA, this program is designed for not accounting undergraduate students, with the intention of getting the CPA after is a good plan? For my MBA program, I went to the Rutgers PA MBA program, the Public Accounting MBA program, which was specifically designed for individuals with zero experience in accounting and even no coursework, so complete newbies. They weren't looking for people with a bachelor's in accounting. They didn't want that. They wanted someone who majored in photography, in film, in basket weaving, what have you, and they would teach you essentially from the ground up. So it worked really well for me, and being that you have a journalism background, it may work really well for you. I don't see that there's an issue in pursuing that program if you're a career switcher. I think it's admirable that you're willing to do such a pivot to ensure that you have a good financial future and your family's going to have a good financial future as well. So kudos to you for that. I don't see really any issues there. And once you complete the MBA program, or MSA program in this case, then you could pursue the CPA credential. In my case, it was a matter of either getting more college credits at the undergraduate level, because you need 150 credits to get the CPA license, or I could have gone to an MBA program. So I figured, hey, you know what? Let's take it up a notch. Let's get those higher level courses going, and let's add those 3 letters after my name, because one thing that nobody could take away from you is having that MBA. All right. And some people might go, oh, yeah, it doesn't make a difference, this, that. I can tell you that there's at least a few of my clients that work with me because I have those letters after my name, and because I went through that extra education, that probably wouldn't be with me if those letters weren't there. I'm willing to bet. Not concrete, but I don't think it's going to hurt. So pursuing this program, I think is a good bet, and they will train you how you need to be trained to go ahead and pursue the credential, because it sounds like this program is tailored for people who've never had CPA experience, and they basically craft CPAs out of those people. The program I was accepted to is online. It's taught by the same faculty as DePaul's in-person program and holds the same AACSB certification. But I worry about the lack of networking opportunities. I plan to reach out to as many firms in my local area as I can while taking the program to seek out internship or low-level employment opportunities. But do you see this format holding me back? I think that networking opportunities depend on what you make those network opportunities to be. What do I mean by that? If you need to network, then you can do so aside from whatever program you happen to be in. It's about taking chances. It's about numbers. Reach out to as many people as possible and ask them for whatever you want, and you're pretty much guaranteed success. That's not my quote, but it's a powerful one nonetheless. So if you take this online course, you can do the networking on your own. So there's nothing stopping you from basically harassing every CPA firm within a 100-mile radius, letting them know who you are, and seeing if there's opportunities for you to work with them. I remember when I was in my MBA program, the Big Four would come around to our campus to interview potential accounting candidates to join their firms. That's one of the benefits of that Rutgers PA MBA program. And each one of the big four would come over at a certain time within the year. The first firm to come over was KPMG, and they did not give me an invitation to go on an interview. So essentially, that was 25% of the big four not even offering me the opportunity to get in front of them to explain to them that, hey, I'm young, I'm driven, and I'm ready to be a part of your firm. So what do? On the day that KPMG was interviewing at our program at Rutgers, I happened to be on campus because I was interviewing with another firm, not one of the big four, but a big firm nonetheless. So I had my suit on, I had my resumes in a nice folder, and I'm on campus. So I did the other interview with that firm, and I'm walking back to my car, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, KPMG is on campus right now. And I'm standing here in a full suit. I've got my resumes. Why don't I just walk on over there uninvited, tell them, hey, I know this, you're here, I'm here too, let's have a conversation. And see what happens. What's the worst thing to do? You're going to shoot me? Are they going to bite me? So that's exactly what I did. I went to the building where they were interviewing, and I just showed up and said, hey, my name's Alex. I didn't receive an invitation for an interview, but I've read a lot about your firm. I've researched it. It's my favorite accounting firm for a number of reasons, and I just wanted to find out if it's possible to take 5 minutes of your time to present my background, present my experience, and see if it's a good fit for us to work together. And these two interviewers kind of looked at each other. They didn't see that coming. They were going down the list of names that they had scheduled to interview. So I was coming in out of nowhere. And they said, well, okay, all right, let's do it. So they sat down with me and they gave me an interview. Gave them my resume, went through the whole spiel, this, that, and the other, right? So I made an opportunity where there was none at that point. And how did that turn out? Well, in that case, kind of weird, because the KPMG people didn't like me bumping up their whole schedule. So they complained to the director of the program at Rutgers that they weren't really crazy about me going out and being so entrepreneurial in my pursuit to possibly get a position with them. Director then pulls me aside and says, hey, Alex, they weren't too happy with kind of what transpired. So if you could possibly write them a letter of apology, that would be much appreciated. Well, guess what? I never wrote that letter. I never planned to, because making an opportunity of something where there isn't one is what I specialize in, and this is why I've gotten to where I am today. So as long as the upside is higher than the potential downside, I always take that bet. So if I were to do it again, I would definitely repeat exactly what happened, just for the fact that you only get opportunities sometimes when you create them yourself. All right, so don't be afraid to go after whatever it is. And if there's 100 accounting firms in your area, you make up for the lack of networking opportunities in your classes by harassing them and making sure that they know your name. Even if they're not hiring you, be on their radar so that when they have an opening, you're going to be the person they think of, right? So think about that. I wouldn't look at the lack of networking opportunities as something that should hold you back from taking part in this program that's online, especially since it's taught by the same faculty. Here's my concern, though. For me, I like the live learning environment just based on my personality. You could be different. That's fine. But I love to be in that classroom setting, especially when it's something like accounting, because reading accounting can be extremely boring. Sometimes it takes an engaging personality to get you excited about a topic and to spark that interest. When I first saw my accounting professor walk into the room, I didn't know that that moment was going to change my life. But what I knew is that he had an energy, a vibe that he brought into the room, which affected me to this day. I mean, it literally changed my life. I mean, I wonder sometimes what would happen if that professor did not walk into that classroom on that day, or if I was sick on that day, or what have you happened on that day, and I wasn't sitting in that classroom when that particular dude walked into the room. Where would I be? My whole life would probably be different. It's crazy. So that in class vibe is what you may miss out on, and that's my only concern with regard to the online classes, because accounting can be sort of dry, can be lacking in excitement in some areas, and if you're just reading this on the screen, some of it may not translate as well as it could in the live environment. So just keep that in mind. And if you could possibly do some hybrid classes by coming in for a few classes and taking some online, you may want to consider it. I know we have COVID going on and all that, but just a consideration. But I don't think the networking opportunities are going to create an issue. All right. So moving along, I'm looking at having to take on about $70,000 in debt to do this program. I'm fairly savvy financially and currently only have about $8,000 remaining on my undergraduate loans, which is my only debt. But part of that is because I have low personal tolerance for debt. Getting over the hump of this being a worthwhile investment hasn't been mentally easy, and I feel it's going to be a major ball and chain for years if I decide to do this. What's your take on that investment to return opportunity? The general rule of thumb in this area, and I hate rules of thumb. I hate rules and I hate thumbs. I'm kidding. But the general rule of thumb is the goal is to make sure that your income when you leave the program is at least equivalent to the amount of debt that you're taking on. Now, I don't know what the average salaries are in your area for individuals getting out of an MSA program in accounting, but if it's closer to $70,000, then you're pretty much on the ball in terms of that rule, in that you'll be able to pay it off in due time. It's not going to take you that long. Now, on the other hand, there's a lot of people that get degrees in XYZ. I'm not going to get specific and attack anybody, but they pay $200,000 for a degree, and the salary that they can expect when they get out of school is $30,000. That's craziness. That's how you end up being an indentured servant to whatever degree you chose to pursue. In this case, you're going to have to weigh certainly that amount of debt over the income that you expect to receive. But let's keep in mind the CPA still does have value. There's things that CPAs can do that other people cannot, being signing audit reports. You can do taxes. You can do financial planning. You can integrate the CFP or the Certified Financial Planner credential into what you do, add even more value. You can add the EA credential to the mix also, again, add more value. But the CPA is going to be the central pillar of all of that, because I'll be honest with you, nobody cares that I'm an enrolled agent. They have no idea what that means. Nobody really cares that I'm a certified financial planner. I would say 80% of the people I work with have no idea what that is either. But as soon as they see CPA, they're ready to send you their prior year tax returns. They're ready to trust you. It's huge. It's a credential that has maintained its trust and its value. So with that, I don't think you're taking an extreme amount of risk getting into debt for something super silly. With that said, do I expect CPAs to have as much value 10 years from now when computers have taken over and they're doing everything for us? I don't know. If I knew that, I wouldn't be here answering questions. I would be in a mansion in Malibu looking at the waves and having models fan me while feeding me grapes. I'm going to edit this out. This is terrible. But anyway, so it doesn't seem like an extreme amount of debt just based on what I see here. So factor that in. Keep in mind, I can tell you that my program was $60,000 for the MBA, and when I got out of the program, my salary was very much close to that, and I was able to pay off all the student loans, be debt-free. I'm like you. I hate debt too. But sometimes it is useful, and out of all the things that you can get in debt for, I don't think that an MSA to get your CPA credential is the worst thing ever. There's a lot of attorneys that have $300,000 degrees that are making $70,000, $80,000, believe it or not. So risk to reward in this case, I would say, is favorable. But again, you have to make sure that accounting is something that you're going to want to do down the line. It's something you're going to use down the line. And taking classes and exploring it this way is certainly one way to do it. I mean, you've been accepted already, so I don't think you're going to jump off the boat at this point. But again, I don't think you're doing anything particularly crazy. Lastly, what would you say to yourself prior to going to get your MBA in order to qualify for the CPA? Oh, man. Be here for hours telling myself things that I know now that I wish I knew then. Deep questions over here, Beth. I got to tell you. But the biggest thing that I wish I did on my journey to get a CPA license, and then even after getting it, is to become an expert in tax. When I was in my MBA program, we had tax classes as part of the curriculum. And I can't tell you how much I wanted to shoot myself every time we were in that class, because we were learning through these thick legal textbooks, right? The ones that attorneys learn from. And our professor was a tax attorney. He wasn't a CPA. And we'd go through all these cases, all these definitions and paragraphs upon paragraphs. I mean, the book didn't even have any pictures. I'm kidding. But at the end of the day, I had no idea what was going on the tax side. I understood GAAP. I understood the income and expenses and things like that, income statement, cash flow, all that good stuff. But when it came to taxes, you've got capital gains, tax-exempt income, credits, standard deduction. Well, what is this? This is for crazy people. I promised myself I would never do taxes in my MBA program. Plus, I thought I was going to literally fail out of it because it was just not sticking to my brain. So I got through 2 courses of tax, and I was surprised that I didn't end up on the street and completely fail out of the MBA altogether because of it. After that, I said, taxes are for crazy people. I'm not touching this. Get this out of my face. It turned out to be a huge impediment to growing my business, because the first question clients have is, can I do this? The second question is always, what are the tax implications? And if you're a financial planner, the taxes are instrumental to what you're doing, because there's going to be questions. And as soon as you tell a client, hey, you might consider this, the second question is always going to be the tax implications. So keep that in mind. On the other side, if you're doing accounting for people, they're still going to ask you tax questions. So you need to know, not only from a general perspective what taxes are going to look like for a particular client, you need to know the details, the intricacies, the way to get from A to Z. And if you are doing tax preparation, if you're involved in the nuts and bolts of it, you're going to be that much more deadly and create that much more value for your clients, in addition to just having the MBA and the CPA. It's a common misconception that if someone's a CPA, they're also a tax expert. The everyday person would probably think those are synonymous. But they're really not, because the CPA curriculum, if you look at the way the exams are structured, very little of that has to do with actually understanding the dynamics of taxes. It's just that reg section, or the regulation section, that has some tax associated with it. That's one of 4 sections, and it's not even all of it. So understanding taxes, being comfortable and conversant with taxes, is going to make you super deadly in this field and give you an advantage above all those other CPAs that don't really touch taxes. On top of that, depending on what you want to do with the CPA credential, if you want to do financial planning, accounting, this and that, taxes are never going to be an impediment. You're always going to add value wherever you are, if it's your own business, if it's somebody else's business, if you're comfortable with that. I mean, imagine if you own a company and you're hiring a controller who's a CPA, would you want one who knows taxes, or would you want one who has no idea, and every single transaction you have to think, well, what are the tax implications? Well, I don't know. Come on. So with that, learn taxes, understand taxes, be comfortable with them, and that is going to give you much more leverage moving forward and much more earning potential moving forward, even though sometimes it's not the most exciting thing ever. I mean, it does change all the time. It's getting more complex. And for the time being, I don't think that AI is going to completely take over this whole field altogether. I think there's still going to be some juice in the game left over for you guys coming in and becoming CPAs, even in 2020. What else would I say to myself in terms of getting my MBA? It would probably be to learn how to program instead. Because you see these guys that do software engineering, they're making a lot more money than I am, and that makes me very upset. But hey, we did the CPA thing. We're making the most of that. And there's going to be considerable growth for my firm moving forward because the CPA still has value. There's still people that need help in this regard. And I don't see it going away anytime soon. So I think I addressed all the questions here. Hopefully this helps add some clarity to all this craziness and give you a bit of direction. Appreciate you sending me this email. It's very in-depth. You definitely have your head in the right place. You're making all the right decisions from just a thought perspective. I mean, I think just being 23, I wish I had this sort of perspective when I was 23. I don't even want to tell you what was going through my mind when I was that age, and now I'm 30, too old, all right? A whole different world here. But I do wish that I had this mentality at your age. It would have completely changed my trajectory to where I would be versus where I am now. But we're catching up. We're making it happen. No worries. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it. And also, as you can see, I'm answering questions from emails, and this could be you. If you send me a compelling email with a question in it, I might just make a video and address it right here. So shoot an email over to info@efrosfinancial.com, and if it's compelling, I might just make a video response. So with that said, Beth, hopefully this was helpful. Thanks for your question, and thanks for watching.